Senator Onyonka, being the person who requested this statement, I'm now giving you your opportunity for the 5 minutes.
Thank you.
So that you can ask your question.
Thank you. I wanted to literally ask my brother John MBADI that he needs to understand that is the CS Finance, Treasury, boss. If you were to borrow money under any auspices for your country, what would you negotiate for? Value for money, straight bidding, reasonable expectation, public participation. Do I need to go through those things? Let me come to my questions. Chair, thank you for giving me the opportunity. If we go back to the Hansard, I wanted to ask CS John MBADI, if you go to the Hansard, the CS Honorable Chirchir, when we asked him, and I would want this question to be answered by your DG if possible, but that's up to you. Were there any other companies that actually made an offer over this or inquired about this transaction that you gave to Adani, other than Adani? Because when I look at these documents you've given here, you could have actually thought this report was being written by Adani, the figures have been put in by Adani. Of course, Your Excellency John, you were not there, but you would think all these guys who work for the PPP were Adani employees. By the way, have any of you gone to India recently? So those are two questions you can answer.
Waziri?
Let me respond. Let me ask Kirigwa first, because you wanted him to respond. I don't want to appear like I'm gagging him and maybe concealing any information. Once it's done, maybe I'll add what I wanted to say. Go ahead.
DG?
Thank you, Senator. Through our submission, Senator, we have, through the chair, we did submit a letter that was shared to us by the State Department of Transport. There were other expressions of interest on the letter of 2023 that indicated the companies that had expressed interest. Adani had also expressed interest in April 2023. Honorable member, let me clarify on that. That proposal was never sent to us at the Treasury. The only proposal that was sent to us at the Treasury was the March 1st, 2024 proposal by Adani. And thereafter, Adani did make payment for the PIP.
Thank you. Could I ask you a following, through you, Chair? Do you have any correspondence from the people who actually showed interest in this work?
Chair, the only through the chair, the only correspondence we do have is one, the Adani proposal that was sent to us in April 2023. We were in copy of that.
Thank you. So, you don't have any other company that you think was interested or file the documents to make an inquiry, to ask the Kenya Airports Authority whether there was need for the authority to provide services for them to go and check at the port in Mombasa, go to Eldoret? You have no letter like that?
Chair, through the chair, I'll refer to you to the exact letter, which is on the page.
No, you already said you didn't have any letter. So which one are you bringing?
The one that came to us.
From Adani?
No, not from Adani. The one that came.
You just said you didn't have any other letter.
The letter from Adani.
Let's have the letter.
Chair, just
please.
1 second.
If you can give him a minute.
I'll ask you to kindly open section W.
That letter is from who?
State Department of Transport. The one from Adani is the one that came in April.
You know what you're doing?
Sorry.
You're assuming all of us are stupid. Stop that. Did you receive a letter, through you, Chair,
Senator,
from any other company other than Adani requesting to do this project?
The answer is no, Chair.
Thank you, Chair. I would like to table, I have 3 letters, which were written by 2 different companies. Adani was the 3rd one. The follow-up question I would like to ask, Chair, after I've tabled this.
Can you table that?
I will. After I've tabled this, is this. Did you correspond to any other company, because they have your stamps, their documents were received? Did you write back to either express disappointment or tell them they had not qualified for this transaction?
The clerk can assist to get the documents.
Yeah, the clerk, you can come, I give you this, and you can show them to them.
So that we can also...
And Chair, I would like in a very, very fast way, I'm going to read this letter. One is from a company called GMR. It's actually a company from India. All right, and Chair, I never solicited these documents. It's the public who have been sending, I think, the owners of these companies. They say submission of expression of interest, letter of interest for exploring the development management operations of Jomo Kenyatta Airline. This dated the 16th of November 2022. The next letter, and I will table this, the other company is called Nexus Logic. This is an American company that required security security provision requesting for the executives from a Corporation America Airports Authority, which is called CAAP, and a company called Nexus Logic. They wanted to come to Jomo Kenyatta Airport on the Wednesday, 10th of July, 2024. Then they wanted to come to the Mombasa International Airport, and they were going to Kisumu and Eldoret. And this letter is here. It's received by your office, and I have that. And I would also like to table you the letter from Adani, which is written on the 31st of March, 2024. So I would like to table, Chair.
Clerk?
The letters, could I just confirm, Chair, the letters were addressed to who?
The first letter is addressed to Hon, the Principal Secretary, Minister of Transport, Infrastructure, Transcom House, Ngong Road. That's the first one from GMR. The second letter is addressed to the Chief Executive Officer, Kenya Airports Authority, and they even say it was hand-delivered. The second letter was actually to the Managing Director, Kenya Airports Authority in Nairobi, Kenya, and all these documents were received
so can I
and
just
stamped
respond?
by your office.
So can I just respond, Chair? First, we have been talking about...
Chair, I have not finished through you. Before he responds, please let me interrogate the matter.
I'm responding to your earlier question. I said...
No, let me just finish this.
But we would still want to
important.
see your document.
Here you go.
Yes.
Chair, on those documents, you know, when you table a document, it's my right to respond to those documents. So before you proceed, can I respond?
But you look at them, what are you answering? You've not even seen them.
You have read. That's why I've asked you.
John, I haven't read the details.
I have asked you, who are they addressed to? Chairman, can I go ahead and
Yes,
say?
respond.
Chair, we have been talking about the law here. PIP process is a process. You address the proposal to the authority. If you write to President Ruto, that cannot be a PIP proposal. It cannot go anywhere. So the first letter was addressed...
Chair, can I respond?
The first letter, I'm just giving...
CS is wasting our time.
Let him finish.
You are equally also maybe wasting my time.
Oh, there's nothing we are discussing, John.
Please, let's respect each other.
Allow the CS to
If you ask
finish.
me a question, I've come here, this is a matter of national importance, for heaven's sake. Let us be
The reason why I am reacting to you the way I am is because you've not even seen the
I
letter.
have not come here.
And you're busy responding. Stop
I've
gatekeeping.
come here.
These things you can't gatekeep
I am
anymore.
not gatekeeping.
Stop gatekeeping.
And please,
we must
also
deal with this issue nationally. It's a national important
here to
issue.
supply information, wait for the information. If you don't need it, Kenyans need it.
Proceed.
Order, Senator Onyonka.
Kenyans need the information, and I'm giving to you.
Time.
Chair, Honorable CS, now you are heckling. You are out of order.
You are equally heckling
But
me.
this is the tradition of ODM to echo.
You are out of order. Chair,
Chair, you cannot
Chair,
allow monopoly of members to only ask questions. Can we also ask?
no, this is on a point of order. This is on a point of order, Honorable.
Senator Sifuna.
Yes.
Point of
Senator
order.
Sifuna.
Honorable Chair, the CS must learn to respect Parliament.
not the tradition
Even
of
when he
ODM.
was in this house, members of the executive never used to speak to you the way you are speaking to us.
himself.
We defer to you because you are a former colleague, but you cannot behave the way that you are behaving.
If
Honorable
we-
Chair, just a minute. Honorable Chair,
Yes.
if the CS is tired of answering questions by the representatives of the people, let him tell us. Let him tell us. He can walk out and come back on a day that he feels his temperament is something that is befitting of a cabinet secretary of the Republic of Kenya. This is Parliament. We are not here to be nice to each other. You are saying you are giving answers to the public. Those public don't ask you those questions anymore. They ask us. We are the ones elected by the public. So, Honorable Chair, I think the CS must apologize for throwing a tantrum here. Yet we are here on serious business to be able to find answers to the questions of the public
Senator,
that we represent.
to be fair to the CS, because he came here to give his answers, and everybody.
Chair, it's not
listening.
a favor. Let him not behave like it's a favor for CS to appear before cabinet, before parliament.
If we avoid unnecessary interjections and give each other time, I believe we are going to complete this issue.
Okay.
With the clarity.
Yeah, I had not
required.
even finished my time. I didn't even do 2 minutes.
I had given him an opportunity to answer that issue on these letters that you have provided.
Chair, with a lot of respect, please allow me. I would like you
see,
allow me.
You're not even giving me an opportunity to say anything.
I am.
And as I said the other day, let's not just interject on every syllable of every word that somebody says. Let's listen to the CS, give him time. We listen to you with your questions. So proceed with your questions.
Absolutely.
And allow
That
him
is
time.
Chair, that's what I'm asking. Allow me. I've tabled the documents.
I've given
Let him
you the
listen
opportunity.
to me. I ask him 3-4 questions. Then
Ask.
he can answer my
Ask.
questions.
Ask.
Thank you, sir.
You have the floor now.
When you did CS, and again, I want to ask your friend who is the DG, there was a section when Honorable Sifuna was expressing the matrix under which when you are doing the evaluation. Do you remember the section where we are talking about whether this company has been involved in corruption, whether it has been taken to court? You've seen that? Did you find out what the historical record of Adani is? That will be a question to you. And then, Chair, my last question that I will ask will be to the CS. So please, CS, I wanted, or you can also answer if you're comfortable. So the last question I want to ask out of the list of my questions, if you look at the section where you are actually again interrogating the issue of due diligence, I have information that if you look at who the ownership of Adani is, you actually cannot know who the owners are. All right? There's information that the Sultanate of Abu Dhabi has got shareholdings to Adani, and there is also the issue that the Indian Prime Minister Honorable Modi actually controls 58% of the Adani empire. Do you have any such information or not? And then conclusively, I wanted to ask my last question, Chair. I hope somebody is jotting down those questions. There is an amount of money that the government of Kenya, when you were sitting and discussing under the IPP agreement, that $48 million will be given to the government. Explain to us how you arrived at that figure. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Chair.
Buenos Dias.
Thank you, Chair. First, Chair, let me be very clear that I am not in any way treating the Senate with a condescending attitude. I am very respectful to the Senate. I know that you have a constitutional mandate to hold the government to account, including my office. And the only concern that I have is, Chair, when Honorable Senator Sifuna started, I asked whether I should just wait, he finishes his questions, and I respond. And I was told no, I could continuously respond as matters come by. Now, when it comes to Senator Onyonka, it changed, and I didn't know at what point it actually changed. And so I thought I should address the issue that was raised to me. Now, Chair, in terms of due diligence, I want to again repeat, there are two levels of due diligence. The first one is high level, where you just look at a few indicators, and that is the indicators that were shown. We are at the phase of a detailed due diligence process. If we could just allow the process to be concluded, then some of the questions that we have would perfectly be answered. And again, Chair, I want to just address on the issue of Senator Onyonka. I don't think those letters you read to us were copied too. the directorate. If they were addressed to any other person, it is the responsibility of the contracting authority to forward
Point of order,
officially
Chair.
and formally.
Point of order,
The
Chair.
documents.
If you look at those letters, they are received at the office of KAA.
Just for clarity,
Yes.
because that's
But
why I
you
was-
see, if
that's
it is
why-
received,
The letters
yes, yes.
are received by
Yeah.
KAA, so don't lie to the public.
Let me guide. And that's why I was asking for these letters.
yes,
There are 3 letters, and it's only received at Kenya Airports Authority, and they are not here. That is one for Nexus Logic. The other one is also stamped by the Kenya Airports Authority, and they are not here. The other one by GMR is not received by any entity. So I would suggest for these ones, because we can always invite the KAA again and again to appear before us. You know, they were here, and I wish you had produced this one.
Point of order, Chair.
Can I get a clarification from you?
Yes.
You know, when the CS was responding, you remember the document that I referred to him, a letter forwarding the PIP. It actually originated from the PS of transport. And his answer, you can play back the answer, was that KAA is domiciled at the ministry. So that if a letter has been sent to KAA, it is with the ministry. That's what he said.
Yes, and that's what I'm trying to guide. by
He
saying-
cannot run away when it is inconvenient and say we have not seen it.
And Chair,
Because
I hear
I-
you saying that what is not there in those letters.
No. I just want you to understand.
Yes.
Because I don't want us to just discuss something that is away from their purview. What I'm trying to say is,
Yeah, this is evidence.
listen, we have admitted this to the committee.
Thank you.
We have them.
So
But
don't
I'm
say
saying-
that it's inadmissible.
But I'm
That's
saying,
evidence.
No, we have admitted them. But what I'm trying to say, and that is what the CA is saying, I'm just trying to guide you so that the relevant questions goes to the right people. Because
Chair.
the letter
Chair,
has been received.
On my knees, I ask you,
Yes.
who do you want me to ask that question?
Listen, I'm guiding you. If it is received by KAA, KAA is domiciled at the Transportation Department. We have the Treasury here, and we have the PPP. It's good to be fair to the CAs, so that they answer the right questions. Your question, nothing stops this committee from inviting the KAA again and the PS Transport to come and answer on this. So we admit this, and then we admit this.
Excuse me, Chair. The reason why we called my brother John MBADI to come here is because the Minister of Transport had already lied under oath. He said there were no letters. So we have the letters. We are tabling them, Chair. Please, Chair. Serve Kenyans well. They'll respect you for many years. The reason why those letters are there is because we must interrogate how did Adani come to Kenya and how did they start what they're doing.
And I agree with you.
And I've not asked you about Adani with Ketrako, Adani with Chief. I've not gone there.
And I agree with you.
How did one company take 7 state corporations and is running roughshod over everybody, and every government officer who's coming here is defending them and not giving us answers at how it happened?
Chair,
Chair,
to help,
that is why this committee is here today.
to help Senator Onyonka, I think what has been demonstrated by those letters is that not every PIP proposal or communication on redevelopment of JKIA left Kenya Airports Authority.
Yeah, true.
So the ministry can confirm, at least the PPP secretariat is here and the Ministry of Treasury is here, let them confirm that the only communication that has come from the procuring entity called KAA is with regards to Adani. So that we draw our own conclusions during report writing that there is somebody at KAA who determines what to forward for evaluation by PPP and which ones do not go to
You've got
evaluation.
my point.
That's all they need to confirm.
Yes.
Let them confirm.
Chair. Chair, maybe my presentation was too long, but let me again repeat. The only PIP proposal received procedurally at the directorate was the one of Adani of 1st March. In fact, I even mentioned there was an earlier one of 2023. It was not procedurally brought to our attention. We have only come to know about other expressions of interest through a letter. There's no any other proposal. And if there is, and by the way, the law is clear. You go to the contracting authority with PIP. But I want to ask Chris, there is no information, as far as I'm concerned, Chairman, that we are holding. And that is why we have documented all the other expressions of interest from 2023 to date. And we are not gatekeeping for anyone. I have no reason to gatekeep. So I would want to ask Chris, please, and again, inform this committee whether you are aware of shareholding of Adani, whether Prime Minister Modi has 58% of shares, or 68, or 100, and this one from UAE. With your permission, Chair, could I ask the Director General?
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, members. Let me start with the question about the earlier question. Yes, the PPP Directorate had one representative who went to India for the due diligence exercise, which is not yet concluded.
Chair, could I stop him right there?
Allow him to finish.
Because of point of information.
Be patient, Senator.
Oh, thank you.
Allow him to finish.
Thank you.
Yeah. That's on this Adani proposition. Secondly, matters of corruption and matters of the history of Adani. Adani did make a formal submission, which was notarized by their attorneys. They gave a confirmation about corrupt practices, and also, as a treasury, we did look at the World Bank debarred list, and we confirmed at the evaluation stage they were not on that list. Honorable Chair, we also confirmed this morning that they were still not on that list. That's Adani Airport Holdings. So we do confirm that. Chair, there's also a matter that has come in about the documents received by on the airport concession. Chair, I'd like to confirm a few things. We did see, I've seen the document that the honorable member has indicated.
It ended dramatically. When Rigathi says he's been around since the Moi times, Kibaki, Uhuru, now William Ruto, one wonders what he has learned over the years. I don't know. You may have been in politics for so long, but you have really learned nothing. Because it's unmistakable that Rigathi has conducted himself as a co-president. And when you do that, you are taking war to the president. And you'll be lucky if the person you're taking war to is not ruthless. And I'm afraid people who have watched William Ruto up close, he's a very ruthless political operator, extremely ruthless. So I don't see him winning this. I don't see, because Uhuru Kenyatta made a mistake of allowing William Ruto to canvass and use state apparatus and stuff like that. In as much as William Ruto during the first time, he actually was very meek. He was very meek. It was after he realized he had nothing to lose that he came out in the open and challenged Uhuru Kenyatta. But he didn't start it from the get-go. So I think it's imperative to know that. You can be in politics and not learn the lessons, very, very salient lessons, which may guarantee your longevity or enhance your chances of ascending to the office that you desire. I'm not so sure he's a truthful man. The speakers who spoke before, Rigathi is not a truthful man. He's a person who is out to serve his political career. He's not. Because if you're a deputy president and you have a presidential ambitions and you're part of a government that has been doing all these shenanigans and malfeasance and corruption, well, you don't have to wait for Gen Z or people to pour out into the streets. You can stand up and oppose those things, and you carry the masses behind you. You don't sit in cabinet meetings where very atrocious, destructive and constitutional policies and decisions are made, and then later on, when you fall out, because you will fall out, you did not come together on any transcendental agenda. You came together on the basis of primordial ideals. I'll bring my ethnic group, you bring yours, and then we're going to share the spoils. That is it. So it's too late. When you go back to the people, it's too late. They'll tell you, no, carry on, cross. fellow countrymen and women, impeachment is not a legal process. I think whoever mentioned it's a political process. It's a political process through and through. So it's not really helpful to look at the Constitution to try to find out what does it say about impeaching the deputy president. In any case, they can actually find reason to do it. His pronouncements about shareholding in government, they can cite that as a person who is against social cohesion and the Constitution that affirms diversity, whether in terms of gender, ethnicity, religion, name it. They can cite that. When you go public and say this is a government of shareholders, I mean, you can use that as grounds. Or they can use his interview on Citizen TV. I mean, there are things he said which were a direct, frontal attack on the person of the president. They can use that on the floor of the House. It's a political process. It's not a legal process where the judge will ask for evidence. Does it meet a particular threshold? No, it's not. It's purely political. So William Ruto may go ahead, especially with this henchman, and say the chips may fall where they may. That's what it is. In any case, he will have fractured the political landscape ethnically. And there's nothing that he desires going forward into 2027 elections more than a fractured political landscape. That will work in his favor. It would have been much more difficult if they were working as a cohesive entity, as a political elite with Regathi and other people. So he fractures that. Well, he knows going forward, he only has to cobble together some ethnic alliance and he's home and dry. Why do we have a recurrence of these fractures, factionalism, elite rupture, 60 odd years since the colonialists left? Because the Kenyan state is neo-patrimonial. It's not based on institutions. And a country that is run along neo-patrimonial tendencies, it's basically a personal property of the person in power and their henchmen. That's what it is. So they personalize power, they informalize power, they guide them. What guides them is what they do behind the scenes to enrich themselves, to entrench themselves in power, and to scheme on how to retain power subsequently through sham elections. And that has been the case here. So it's not an institutionalized polity. And that's why these people will fall out election after election after election. Because it's all bring your ethnic group, I bring my ethnic group, bring yours. Now, after you get into power, what joins you together? You don't have a big idea for the people of Kenya. Oh, this one has a contract, this one has got a tender, this one what, you have appointed more people, stuff like that. They will fall out. And that's why when we talk about system overhaul, that's what we basically mean. Regime change is not going to change things in Kenya. It's not going to change this deformed culture. It will not. We need system change so that we address these historical injustices that are still haunting us. These kind of things. Where people think that it's normal to recede into your ethnic cocoon and mobilize in 2024. Whereas Regathi can actually take on his boss on cross-cutting issues, and there are very many. There are very many. Why does he recede into his ethnic cocoon? Because that kind of politics has got economic and political patches. It has. It has enriched people in the past. It's enriching people now. So they don't care about jobs. We're talking about jobs. We're talking about education, about healthcare. They don't care about those things. Those things have taken them nowhere. This ethnic mobilization is what is uppermost in their minds, what is in it for me, because it has created billionaires in the past, and they have seen them. And those are their role models. So until we overhaul this state, both the economy and the politics, which will impact on the political culture and the mindset, we're in this morass for quite some time, I'm afraid, for quite some time. Azimio has collapsed. UD has now officially collapsed. You wonder, like, these guys yesterday, just the other day, they were pretending as if they were, the best thing they ever. They have collapsed because nothing brings Kenya's political elite together. Just about this cynical jostling for power. Nothing more than that. If you get it, you're likely to fall out. If you don't get it, you'll still fall out. You'll still fall out. And unfortunately, people tend to follow them. No, now there's sympathy for Rigathi, an unrepentant ethnic chauvinist who doesn't hide it. He does not hide it. An unrepentant ethnic supremacist. No, we can't. We can't have somebody like that. So what is the takeaway? The takeaway is that the 2010 Constitution was meant to serve at least two things as far as power is concerned in Kenya. It has not. Going by 2013 elections, 2017 elections, and 2022 elections, what was it supposed to do? With the devolution, the Constitution was supposed to render the presidency less emotive. Because when you disperse power and decision making, you are creating other centers of power on the periphery. And therefore, the focus that has been there since the independence of the presidency will lessen. No, it has not happened. The president is still as emotive as it was back in time. Secondly, with the joint ticket between the presidential candidate and the running mate, it was meant to cure what was there before under Jomo Kenyatta, yes, Obed, Sam Landing, and Daniel Moi, that the vice president had been humiliated before. Daniel Moi used to be slapped by people in Jomo Kenyatta's inner court. That has not happened. Instead, it has created another problem. That a running mate who eventually becomes a deputy president then thinks that he's a co-president. Another problem. What is the problem? The problem is the political culture, it's not the constitution. So what do? Do you go back to when the president used to appoint a vice president, or do you retain this, which is also creating polarity in the presidency? Obets, do you know what made William Ruto to go full throttle and bring Raila Odinga into the government? It was that. It was that thing. It was that thing called Limuru 3. If you remember Limuru 3. Limuru 3. If you recall those politicians who attended that conference, some of them made it clear that William Ruto will be a one-term president. And he looked at it and he said, no, he's not going to sleep this one out. He will not. You don't show your strategies unto your opponent in politics. You are reducing yourself to dead meat. Dead meat. He realized, no, he's not going to sleep. He's not going to sleepwalk. He's going to go full throttle and neutralize that campaign. You don't know that? Now they don't know that they're the ones who made him to go this full throttle. I mean, it's a very primordial politics that we shouldn't entertain in this day and age. Watu wa wapi, mtu wangu, mtu wa kabila hii and this. We're the ones who suffer, honestly, unfortunately. It's not like we citizens, we pay.
I'll request you learn. I want and I'm hoping that one day I'll have you, and I think with your permission, Ms. Hani, we have wasted honestly talk about the politics of this country and have like a whole time to be able to. You churn out very good points, and I really love how you articulate issues, because truly there's a major problem that this country has. Our politics is not based on ideology. We come together for convenience. We've seen that from the Kanu period, then coming to after Kenyatta vacates the scene, and then it's always something about convenience. Removing somebody, punishing another person, and so. Western, I think we'll have a discussion with Eli and decide
absolutely
what topic
we will, Obet.
So I request that you learn.
Obet, I end with this quote from Samora Machel. one of the greatest sons of Africa. Unfortunately, he died before he could realize some of his dreams. He's on record as saying this: for the nation state to survive, the tribe must die. I yield.
That's the most beautiful way to end it. And I'm glad that we share at least something in common about international relations, which is very interesting. So I'll have Juza Nikujuze to come on board. And Juza, thank you for being patient. I know the real joy is next. We have exactly 29 minutes, and we should try and make it to that. So Juza Nikujuze.
Thank you very much, and thank you also to everyone. And yeah, it's been a very good discussion. I have, I think for me is more questions to all of us than anything else. Now, for example, one question I have, and here's where I disagree with Weston on a couple of issues, is are we impeaching people for their person or for their work? Like, are we impeaching Rigathi because of not performing duties, or are we impeaching him for his persona? Because if you're impeaching people for their persona, then that leads to a very, that is potential for abuse. Are we okay with a president who's a functional alcoholic but performs very well? Are we okay with a president or deputy who's a serial cheater but performs very well? These are all questions we should ask ourselves as we look into the kind of bad manners we're willing to tolerate, because we are all flawed, and a president and a deputy is going to be flawed. And here's where now I'm going to say some things that are very controversial. First, I don't have a problem with Rigathi being an ethnic supremacist. I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with tribalism myself. I actually applaud his honesty, and I think we should be more honest, because we've been on Twitter. We know these kinds of people are very many. We know these things. We know the kind of people who speak on ethnic matters and believe their tribes are whatever they are. There are very, very many. So I actually applaud his honesty. We need more honest people like that to say, you know what? I value this above anything else. My highest value is my tribe. And if I carry my tribe, then I am good. At least we have a baseline for that. We don't need to make assumptions about Rigathi and about, what he believes and what he does. We know what his values are. And I actually, to be honest with it, I'm happy for that kind of honesty, because these other people are pretenders. They will do the same thing, but they're pretenders. And for me, you'd rather be honest and a bad person than a pretender. Now, the second thing I think I'll disagree with Weston with, is that we have a good constitution. In my opinion, we don't have a good constitution. We don't have a good constitution at all. Because in my opinion, if today Ruto asks any governor in Kenya to kneel down and beg, they would all do it. All of them would do it, because all the power is in one direction only. One direction only. During COVID, we saw, for example, in the United States, every state had its own policy. Yes, the president said, I wish you guys would all wear masks and what, but some states refused to do it because they had power over the national policy. Here we don't have anything like that. They would all kneel down and beg the president, because the power is only one way down. And that is that is the reason why I think we have a bad constitution, because for the counties to work, for me, they need total independence. We need a good system of devolution, starting with taxes, because some counties will never be rich with this kind of system. They will never, because if I ask you a question, what is the poorest county in Kenya? I think if I remember some time ago, it was Tana River County. I don't know about now. I'm not very sure. How is a county like Tana River County supposed to compete with Nairobi in the current system? They would have to beg the president for more money to Tana. It doesn't develop counties. It does not. We only need the brightest the brightest people anywhere in Kenya to want to live in Tana River County, right? And the only way to attract them there is taxes, good labor policy, good entrepreneurship-based policy. That can only be done inside that county to attract the best talent. That is not happening. According to me, we need a change of system completely. I agree with all of you guys there. We need a change of system completely, a complete overhaul in how we look at how we look at leadership, how we look at policy, how we look at institutions, and how we look at law. We need a change in all of these areas. A good place to start, of course, is to remove the current regime, because like has been said previously, we're tending towards some form of dictatorship in East Africa, in the larger Eastern Africa, and this is where this is my concern. My concern is that our concern for democracy is a Nairobi issue. Honestly, I've spoken to people outside of Nairobi, and many people don't care. Honestly, some people even said that Kenya ni saya tunahitaji kuwa na dictator sahi, because Wakenya wengi hawasikizi or what, whatever reasons they have. But people actually want some dictatorship kidogo, My own cousin told me that, I remember, when was it finance bill? My own cousin told me that MPs wanasumbua ujamaa sana na costs zinasumbua ujamaa sana. Tunafaa kuwa na dictatorship kidogo, so he is able to push the finance bill, and run his manifesto the way he wants to. So, and it's not an unpopular sentiment. It's not an unpopular sentiment. So my concern is, if we run a poll about benevolent, or whatever, you can play around with the names, some form of dictatorship or good democracy, I don't think the number would be 100-0. I think you can get like a 50-50 or a 60-40, split in terms of support for some form of dictatorship and democracy. And that to me is a question for all of us to think about. But otherwise, thank you very much for the discussion. I'm learning more than I want to learn more than I'm speaking. So it's been a very good session tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Juza. I'm actually laughing at the tragedy of who we are. And we are the only people who know what ails us. We make that mistake and then find a reason to complain. And then the other thing is we've taken that liberty to outsource the responsibility of burden to other people and not us. So I understand where you're coming from. Honestly, the concern about democracy, accountability, and good leadership is the preserve problem of the people in town, and especially Nairobi. But that said, I think in defense of Western, he did say that, this country, the constitution is not a good one. It's not necessarily perfect, but it serves the purpose for now. And at the same time, we can never have a perfect one, even if we wanted. There's always going to be a problem. So that said, I wish to allow the real Joe to come on and then have Chris. Then we start thinking of how we close this space. But really so happy with what is going on. Let me read the comments. Just hold on before you come on, the real Joe. I've got comments from Stella saying one is an ethnocentric individual who thinks he only represents one group in the country and cares about nothing and no one else. The other is a tourist who's ticking his bucket list every single day. I see the bad manners. I see the 254. What is something the president was saying? Kenyans set very high standards for me. About him suggesting that he's doing good things, but Kenyans want more from him. He's a man who cannot help to lie. The sooner Ruto goes, the better for Kenya. That's Oletunda. And then 254 for life says, bad manners is when the VP spends most of the year in Mombasa. Does he not remember he has a job? I was joking today and I told someone that to be a deputy president or deputy governor in Kenya is an exercise in waiting for the president to die or the governor, then you take over. Other than that, you're never seeing power and you have no purpose. Let me allow Real Joe to speak, and then we look at how we end the space or work towards that. Real Joe.
Thank you, Obed. Thank you, Mizani, and thank you for the speakers who are tuning in and the listeners. Obed, I want to disappoint Juza Nikujuze. I think I'll agree with literally everything Western said. I'm sorry to disappoint you, but here's the thing for me. I look at our constitution.
The Real Joe, you know, here we have no favorite conversation as long as it's respectful.
Yeah, exactly.
You can, we can agree to disagree. Yeah. It's conversations here.
I look at our constitution and I'm trying to look at the role of the deputy president in our country. As per our constitution, as per the law. Phil, I don't know whether I'm the only one or there are many people who share the same sentiments. I tend to think that the deputy president, the role of the deputy president as per the constitution, they are flower girls for me. They have not been given a particular role that this is the role of the deputy president other than being a principal assistant of the president as per Article 147 or performing functions that may be assigned to them by the president. And the constitution says may. You guys remember the may and shall thing. May be assigned to them. And therefore, I tend to think that the deputy president, the role of the deputy president is more of a flower girl. But I try to understand why did the framers of the constitution put it that way. Maybe they wanted a deputy president to be a personal working relationship assistant to the president, a governing partner, more or something like that, an advisor, a representative, something like that. Maybe they were thinking of it in that way. I don't know. I can't say. I can't speak their minds. But the deputy president did not have a definitive role. And therefore, as Western said, that, if you try to outsmart the president, you will always fall into this kind of problems that he currently is falling into. That is the only reason he is falling into these problems. He cannot outsmart your president. Okay? Having said that, I don't even think that the president needs outsmarting. He does not need outsmarting. When the president right now makes wrong decision, it is not right for the deputy president to follow along those decisions. But the deputy president is one man on record since taking over office, is the only person who has been against the constitution from the onset. And for those who have said there are no grounds to impeach the deputy president, he has been against the constitution from the onset. A constitution that talks about diversity, a constitution that talks about unity. From the onset, when in matters unity, he talks about shares. From the onset, immediately after they got sworn in, he is the first person who started talking about shares in the government. Okay? He's the person who has been very vocal, saying that he will only represent the interest of Mulima, as popularly known. He does not then represent, he does not respect diversity. He does not. So, if I look at Article 131, the authority of the president and the deputy president are tied in one ticket on ballot. But I'll tell you what, that tie is untied as soon as they are sworn in. That is the fact. As soon as they are sworn in, the tie that they were tied with on ballot is untied. If you try to outsmart the president, you'll find it very rough. You'll find it very rough. But the people who are currently now pushing the agenda to impeach the deputy president, they are the legislature. They are trying to exercise their legislative authority, which is a good thing. I mean, I would wish to see him impeached. It's a good thing. But have they also reviewed, as per Article 195, have they also reviewed the conduct of the president? Have they? They have not. And that is the fundamental problem that we have in this country that we need to address. Our legislature has been turned into a choir. And I don't know how the executive, the president, always finds a way of taking over the legislature and just turning them into a choir, a body, at an institution. And this is where Western talked about institutionalizing our country, ensuring the institutions work. If institutions work, we don't care about who actually heads the institutions. We care about the institutions and the role of the institutions. The role of parliament will be the role of parliament, whether it is Joe who is in parliament, or it is Western, or it is Obed. The role is the same. So the institution is supposed to be the denominator. But we have a parliament that does not work in terms of does not perform its role as an institution. We have individualism in the parliament. And right now, that's why we don't have people with balls to go and tell the president, you know what? You said there are no abductions. There are missing persons. Where are those missing persons? Your seat in the National Security Council, you chair it. What briefings do you get from the security apparatus in terms of abductions, in terms of the brutality that we're seeing recorded? Because we are in a modern age, you can see brutality in action. What do you say in those security council? What do you say in those kind of meetings? Is supposed to be put to tax because the constitution gives them, the legislature, a role to review the conduct of the president as well. So if they are honest, if they are doing their job in terms of trying to impeach the deputy president, they need to also review the conduct of the president. They'll find so much, more than 1,000 grounds to impeach the current president. More than 1,000 grounds. And therefore, the bad manners, the presidential bad manners, is promoted by our legislature. But our legislature, it is we who elect the legislatures. So we need to start change. And the change has started. The conversation is going on. This, whatever we are doing right now, that is the key. And I'll just yield by giving you a quote from Margaret Mead. Because I was in a debate today, heated debate, and I was told that what we are doing in this movement is harmless. But I will say this. Margaret Mead said, never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, concerned citizens can change the world. Indeed, that is the only thing that has ever changed the world, according to Margaret Mead. I yield, Roberts.
Thank you, The Real Joe. I'll take the opportunity once again to remind us that we are looking at having a conference in March 2025. And this one is one that is not your normal kind of conference. It's kind of like going to be having an X-Space in the open and meet people in person. And the whole idea is to ensure that we are all equal and be able to give our ideas and suggestions openly, be able to see the people we are talking to and find a way to sort that out and find a way forward together. It would not have the conventional kind of conference thing, but it's a conference all the same. And we're working on that. The concept note is put together, so we're working on a few issues here and there, and then we'll work on the logistics. We'll keep you informed, and if you'd like to reach out, Eli will give you the email addresses to which to use. Before we all summarize this conversation, I would like to allow Victor, because he just come in, to make his opening remarks and closing remarks, so that we close the space as it's at the tail end of it. But welcome, Victor. Nice to see you. I know it wasn't a good weekend for you, but nonetheless, you did the best you could. Welcome.
Yeah, it was a good weekend. That was a lesson in Haram football, proper. Yeah, we are no longer kids. So yeah. Anyway, to the matter at hand.